Everybody says LM Studio is the friendliest way to run local AI, and I spent 5 charges trying to prove them wrong. Some of those charges stuck, and the Bionic pivot is where it gets complicated. LM Studio claims to be the easiest local model runner, a real agent platform, and fully private. So does it actually deliver, or is the Bionic pivot breaking the promise? One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Claim 1. LM Studio is the easiest entry point for beginners. You know the objection already, right? Every local AI tool says it's easy, but the real cost shows up on day 1 when someone opens a terminal for the first time, panics, and just goes back to ChatGPT, and that's the failure this claim has to beat. I looked at a month-long hands-on comparison from XDA, and LM Studio scored a 9 out of 10 on day 1 onboarding, while Olama pulled a 4, and the reviewer literally said it felt like a regular desktop app, while Olama asked more from the user on day 1, so the built-in Hugging Face browser is doing a lot of that work with 0 terminal commands needed. Charge 1 dismissed. LM Studio's GUI genuinely removes the wall that stops beginners cold, and XDA's month-long test put it ahead for newcomers by a wide margin. So that's one of 1 charges dismissed so far, and the gap here is about as clear as it gets in a tool comparison. I only know how bad that day 1 friction gets because I've watched people bounce off these tools in real time, which is why I dig into the actual evidence before calling anything beginner-friendly. So drop a comment if you've been burned by a tool that promised easy setup and delivered a terminal. Claim 2. LM Studio Bionic handles real work, coding, documents, research, all in one sandboxed app. And the objection most people already have is that agent apps promise a lot and usually deliver a demo. So what does it actually do when you point it at a real code base or ask it to generate a spreadsheet from scratch? Breaking it down by task, coding scored an 8 out of 10, with 9 to 5 Mac confirming Bionic links to a local folder, and runs inline diffs with GLM 5.2 and Kimi K2.7 code. Document generation scored 7.5, with sandbox previews and checkpoints confirmed by press. And the catch right in line is that frontier models are 239 GB to 800 GB. So local only on a 16 GB GPU means smaller models only. Charge 2 dismissed. Bionic's coding and doc features are real, confirmed by vendor and press. Not just marketing copy, so that's 2 of 2 charges dismissed now. Though the local only promise gets strained the moment you want a frontier model, and that's a caveat worth keeping in your head. Claim 3, classic versus Bionic, regression, or trade-off. The objection I kept hearing from the community is that Bionic dropped Linux support entirely, which means if you're running a home server or a Linux box, you just lost your app, and that's not a minor inconvenience. That's a platform you can no longer use. I looked at the platform data, and Classic scored an 8 on availability versus Bionic's 5, because Classic runs on Mac, Windows, and Linux, while Bionic has no Linux build as of July 2026. Maturity scored 8 versus 6 from community reports because Classic is battle-tested, and Bionic is still initial preview, and use case fit lands at a genuine tie at 7 to 7 because these are different tools, not a straight upgrade. Now, the use case fit is genuinely a tie because these are 2 separate apps doing 2 different jobs. And that framing doesn't help Linux users, and it doesn't change the fact that Classic is the safer, more stable pick if you need to run models right now without surprises. Charge 3 dismissed. Classic still exists, still works everywhere, and Bionic is a separate preview app, not a forced replacement, so that's 3 of 3 charges dismissed. And the quick decision answer is Classic if you need something stable today, Bionic if you can live with a preview. 3 charges dismissed so far, but the 2 that are still coming are the ones that actually split the community, because the abandonment question and the privacy question are where the real tension lives, and one of them is going to land differently than you probably expect, and it could flip how you feel about the whole Bionic direction. Claim 4, LM Studio is abandoning its core desktop product, and the number that got my attention is one Hacker News comment that put it plainly. I think you've totally blown it with a lot of people. That's not a fringe take, that's community trust eroding in real time. And if you built workflows on Classic, you want to know if that trust is justified. I looked at the homepage and the product signals, and the pivot is real. The primary download button is now Download LM Studio Bionic, and Bionic leads the page. But Classic is still there, still downloadable, still maintained alongside it. And community trust scored a 5 versus 8 against, because the cloud direction genuinely rattled a chunk of the user base, even with 0 retention promises in place. Charge 4 partially sticks. The homepage pivot is real, and community trust took a hit. But Classic wasn't removed, so it's a pivot, not an abandonment. And that puts us at 3 of 4 charges dismissed, 1 partially true, with the final charge being the one privacy purists have been waiting for. Claim 5, true data privacy with 0 cloud retention. And the cost of getting this wrong is not abstract, because you're running sensitive documents through a local model, specifically because you don't want them on a server somewhere. And if LM Studio's cloud mode silently logs your data, that entire use case collapses. So does the privacy claim actually hold up? Local data privacy scored a 9 out of 10, confirmed by the vendor privacy policy, with no messages, chats, or documents ever transmitted in local mode. Cloud data retention scored a 7, with 0 retention terms, confirmed for cloud requests. And the part that got me was community trust and cloud scoring only a 5, because Hacker News users are skeptical of any 0 retention promise, based on industry patterns, and that skepticism is not nothing. The cloud trust gap is real, but it doesn't change the local mode story, because if you stay fully local, the privacy claim is as strong as it gets, with no data leaving your machine. Full stop. And the only people who need to stay skeptical are the ones using Bionic's cloud features for frontier models where the trust is a vendor promise, not a verified technical guarantee. Charge 5 dismissed. Local mode is genuinely private, confirmed by the privacy policy, and that's a 9 out of 10 on the data protection score. So the final tally is 4 of 5 charges dismissed, 1 partially true, and LM Studio Classic holds up as the real deal for privacy purists. Alright, so here's where LM Studio genuinely wins. The GUI is unmatched for beginners with point-and-click model downloads from Hugging Face and no terminal needed. Local mode is fully private with 0 data leaving your machine, confirmed by the privacy policy. And Classic runs on Mac, Windows, and Linux, stable and battle-tested, not a preview. And here's where LM Studio falls short, specifically with Bionic. Agentic work is real, but the local promise breaks down fast when frontier models need the paid secure cloud. Linux users get nothing with no Bionic build at all, as of July 2026, and the cloud direction cost real community trust, which is a harder thing to rebuild than a missing platform. Worth it if you want the friendliest local model runner with real privacy. 4 of 5 charges dismissed, but skip Bionic if you're on Linux or need frontier models without a cloud bill. Because Classic is the answer for most people right now, and Bionic is worth a look only when it ships a Linux build, and you're ready for a preview. One thing the marketing doesn't say anywhere, Bionic's secure cloud has no published rate card at launch, so I couldn't find any pricing information. And if you spin up a frontier model session thinking it's covered, you have no idea what you're going to pay until you're already in it. So check the pricing page before you touch Secure Cloud. Now, LM Studio Bionic leans on GLM 5.2 as one of its headline models, so if you want to know whether that model actually earns its spot, I ran a full breakdown on it, and the video is called GLM 5.2, Is It Worth Using? And it's sitting right there for you.